Okay. So week 11, we're going to look again, review what we've learned so far in doing 3D modeling. Okay. So it's a little different in terms of how you are going to go about drafting, because you're looking at 3D modeling, and not only that, 3D printing. So we're not just modeling, we're modeling for printing, 3D printing. And like I said, in 3D printing, we want to plan it so that we don't use too much support. If we can avoid, in fact, that's a requirement for your project, to create a model that doesn't need support, where the only support that you will be needing will be the first layer, because in 3D printing, we need a layer so we can easily remove it from the platform, 3D printing platform. Okay, so we looked at the 3D modeling ribbon. That's initially what we are saying. When you're doing 3D printing, you want to, or 3D modeling, you want to change from drafting, which is the normal default ribbon. So this is what we call the ribbon. You go here, workspace. Oh, I'm not sharing, sorry. So that's the initial ribbon right here. Okay. So 3D modeling ribbon. Initially, we have the annotation, drafting annotation set. Then we move to either 3D basics or 3D modeling, where we get 3D modeling tools. I still prefer the shortcut keys, but this allows me to remember things that I can use, and then I can just type the shortcut keys. Normally, shortcut keys are the first 2, 3 letters of your command. Okay, so there's are also navigating tools. The nav cube normally is the first thing that maybe we should look into. So nav cube, you want to turn this on. So just again, a guide of your orientation. So we're looking at the southwest side of our drawing. Okay. Visual style. So it allows us to look at shaded, rendered version of our model. So here under the home tab, you have 2D wireframe as initial visual style. So you can change that to conceptual, hidden, realistic. You can type VS, that's the shortcut key, and then select visual styles to turn that on. And there are other parameters. Always look at the preferences, settings that you can change. Okay. So visual styles, there's a Z axis. If you go to initially top view, that's our initial view orientation. Then you can hold down the shift key, hold the middle mouse button, and you can see the X, Y, Z axis, where X goes to the right is positive, X or Y going up is positive, Z going up is positive. So that's your Z axis. Okay. I don't usually use thickness and elevation. So, but you can use the thickness command and change a 2D drawing and get some thickness. That means it becomes three-dimensional. And you can change the elevation, meaning to say the location of your object in the Z axis. So Z0 will be at the base level, and then you can go up. You can create different solid using the extrude command. So we have the extrude command, and like I showed you, and it's easy to check, there are different primitive objects. One of the very useful command is the polysolid when we are creating walls. Okay, but extrude allows us to extrude objects that are uh, a line. We can extrude a line, but best to extrude close polylines. So instead of just a single line, you use a uh, polyline. Polyline is a continuous line. So when you create a polyline, you can select that and it selects as one object. Okay. Now, normally we would like to close the polyline, so we create a shape and we can extrude that as a solid object. Now, one thing that you cannot do and AutoCAD will not allow you to do is to make crossing across your shape. So it doesn't allow us to extrude self-crossing shapes. So just take note of that. So there is the 3D move, right? Rotate command, and it's actually easier if you use the gizmo. So there's the move, rotate, scale, right? No gizmo options. Now, if you, for example, select an object and you don't see the gizmo, the reason for that is because you need to be in a shade mode or not a wireframe visual style. So you need to be in a shade mode, and if you select an object, a 3D object, then you can use the gizmo to move. You simply click on the axis and then you can move along that axis. So that's the x-axis. You can move along the y-axis, z-axis and then y-axis. If you hover over and click that ZY plane, then you are moving along the ZY plane. So you can go up, Z, to the right, Y. Okay. You can change the gizmo. So instead of just moving, you can select the Z rotation and then you can rotate along the Z axis, escape. You can rotate along the Y axis and you can also rotate along if you click that circle, along the X axis. And then likewise, you can scale. So you can scale, rotate, move. I don't normally scale here, but it's an option that you can do. Okay. There's the subtract command, which I've shown you last time. So if you have two objects that are intersecting, let's say a box. So if I have a box and let's say I have a sphere right here. So these two are intersecting objects. So I can do Boolean operations. Union, it becomes one object. Right now, there are two separate objects. If I click union and select the two, it becomes united. So select union or type UN, select the two, now it becomes one. Okay, so undo. Okay, I can do subtract. So select the object you want to maintain or retain, enter to end the selection, and then select the object you want to subtract from that initial object you selected. And then you get the subtraction. Okay, so undo, undo. And then you have the intersect command where you select two objects. The remaining object will be the intersection between the two objects. So intersect, select this, select that, and that's what's going to remain. Okay, undo. So that's subtract or Boolean operations, Boolean operations, subtract, union, and intersect. Now, something that's very important, the UCS, user coordinate system. We looked at it before, but when you are drawing objects, AutoCAD automatically, in most instances, would align to the surface. So for example, if I want to create a circle here or here, right? Circle, if I hover over that object or surface, it will create my circle aligned to or on that surface. Okay. So if I want to create a circle here, it will align to that surface. If I want to create a circle here, so C is the command for circle, then I can align that circle to the surface in most cases. But if there are instances when it will not do that, then you have to type the UCS command. UCS, select the origin, the X direction, and the Y direction, so that it, you force it to align to a surface. So especially if the surface is at an angle. So for example, if I have a wedge here, okay, and I want to create a circle right there, I can do that, hover over that, okay, that's nice. But otherwise, if I want to, I can place my UCS aligned to that surface by typing UCS origin, X direction, Y direction. Okay. Now, that will be very handy, especially if there are surfaces that are inclined, or even if it's not inclined, it's quite useful if the UCS doesn't align with your surface that you are hovering over. Okay. Now, to go back to the world coordinate system, you type UCS and then select the option world or W. Okay. So that's the default initial location and orientation of your UCS. Okay. So that's the UCS command. You can save and restore the UCS. So if you have created a UCS, oriented it this way, okay, you can type UCS again and you can say named and then save, similar to what we did with the project North. Okay, you can save, give it a name, and then you can restore that. Okay, so I'll just cancel that. Okay, and then there are viewing planes straight on the plan view. So when you want to go to a UCS and let's say make this the plan view, you say you type plan, and then you say current UCS, and now we're looking at the plan view of that surface. Okay, so notice these are inclined. Now, if you want to go plan and go to the initial plan view, so that's the world coordinate system or absolute plan view. Okay, so that's how you go back. See, our UCS is aligned to our surface. And if you want to change that UCS back to the world coordinate system, you simply type UCS world. Okay? So that's just a review of what we have learned so far. Now, so that's the 3D modeling ribbon. Okay, so you can find it here. That's the view cube. Under view, you can say cube, but I'll just type nav to access that. Okay, nav cube. If you hold down the shift key and then the middle mouse button, you can pivot around, rotate. Okay, zoom in, pan. Okay, hold down the middle mouse, hold down the shift key, hold down the middle mouse button, and then you can pan around. Okay, so that's visual style VS. There are different visual styles. Okay, that's the Z axis I talked about. Okay, elevation, you can type change the elevation, or sorry, thickness. So you can change the thickness of a line or the elevation of an object. So it goes to the Z axis. When you extrude, you're not only extruding upward, you can also have a taper. So select the taper option so you can create a tapered extrusion. Okay. Solid modeling rules, like I said, it should be one entity. So we use polyline. It must be close. If it's not close, then you are creating surfaces. So for example, here, this is not close. If I extrude that, EX, extrude, if I extrude this, it will create surfaces, meshes. But if it's close, then I can extrude that and it creates a solid. If it's self-intersecting, I cannot extrude that. Enter. See, it was rejected. Cannot sweep or extrude a self-intersecting curve. So you cannot do that. Okay. Now, to if you have lines that are not joined together, meaning say you didn't use a polyline, I don't know why you would want to do that. But if you have a line or lines, so you cannot you can extrude this, okay, but it also will create meshes. So I can extrude that, but I'll extrude that one at a time. Okay, so undo. Now, if I have lines that are close, again, I can extrude that, but I can only extrude it one at a time. Okay, undo. Now, what I can do is p-edit, polyline edit, convert the line into a polyline. So it will ask me, do you want to convert this into a polyline? Enter for yes. And then you can join the rest of the lines. Enter. And now it is a closed polyline. Close, the reason why I know it's close is because it says here, do I want to open it? If it's asking me if I want to open it, that means it's a close polyline. Okay, close polyline. Okay, then I can extrude that. Okay, and it creates a solid object. Okay, now there are instances when you might want to extrude this. So what you can do is create a B-poly or boundary polyline. Okay, so BP, okay, B-poly, pick the point, internal point, and it will create a closed polyline for you. Okay, now that if we've created that, we can do an extrusion. I can extrude that like so. Okay, so what it created was, if I move the last object that I've created, L, that's the boundary polyline, then you see that it created a triangle for me. So if there's a closed area, you can create a boundary polyline. So it creates a polyline using that as a boundary. Okay. So elevating before extruding, so you can do that. Like I said, you can change the elevation. So change and then elevation, elev. Okay. Okay. We talked about the 3D gizmo. Okay. You need to be in the shaded view to activate the 3D gizmo. Okay. So that's the subtract command. Okay. UCS. Normally, you don't need to change the UCS. It automatically go to the surface, especially if you're in a shaded view. Okay. So UCS. And then we have our exercise. Any question regarding that introduction to 3D modeling? Anything that's not clear that you want me to explain further? Yes, Stephen? The? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did go over all of those. Yes, I am recording. Okay, so in the previous term, we just create this 3D model. This is not a requirement. Again, focus on your designed house, okay, for 3D printing. I'm just going to demonstrate how we can do a simple project like this, but not just for 3D modeling purpose, but for 3D printing. It's a different paradigm, okay? For 3D printing, if I create this as a one-piece model, to print this part right here, you will need a lot of support. So the 3D printer will print a support right here. And then once it gets to this level, that's the time it will print this part of the wall. Now, uh, we can do that, right? Likewise here, it will first print and then it will print supports and then it will print that top part. The only thing is we're wasting support material, number one. Number two, it takes hours and hours to dissolve the support. So it's going to consume so much time. And if we're 3D printing, a lot of objects, then there'll be a backlog in the uh, solution bath. Okay. So what I did was uh, I'm going to show you the steps that I use to create the model for 3D printing. Okay. So my first step is to create guidelines. So I'm just using lines. I initially use a rectangle, uh, 12 feet by 22 feet 6 inches. Okay. And then I exploded that rectangle so that this becomes separate lines. Okay. Now, from here, I also created the other requirements. We have here uh, 3 feet 6 inches, or from here, that's actually 4 feet. So 4 feet somewhere here. So I created one. Okay. And then let me turn shade off. Okay. So I've created one right there, 4 feet. So I can create a polysolid. I'm going to use the polysolid command to create this wall. Okay. So I also place there as a guideline 7 feet. Okay. So 7 feet will be right there. Okay. I extended this because I'll need the window location, which is aligned to that 7 feet. So I can extrude and get that out. So create as or all the required guidelines. Okay. So this one here, I'm going to also use this line here to create the window. Here, I needed this line so I can identify the opening. Okay. And I needed this line, which is the 8 feet, 6 inches from that line right there. Okay. Any question regarding the preparation, creating lines? We're good? Okay. Nothing special there. And then I projected this down. And I created this right here. This will be for the roof. Okay. So I projected this down, again, using similar to what we do for elevation, creating an elevation. So you just project this down. Okay. Copy this. Okay. Right there. And likewise in the midpoint. Okay. So I need that line so that when I make this, okay, using my 5 by 12, so create this 5 by 12, then I can get this hypotenuse and then copy that from here to uh, there, okay, to there, okay. And then I just extended that, created an offset. Okay. So I know the overhang and then simply created a 6-inch thick roof. Okay. And then from here, I also created this. Now, the reason why I placed this is so that I have a place for me to put my roof on top of my wall. So when you're doing 3D modeling, 3D printing, because we're modeling for print, you need to glue them together. So that side right there becomes your area for supporting or gluing this together on the wall, okay, at the top. Okay, so I pre-planned that, things that you need to consider. Okay, so I added that as part of my wall, roof. And then this part right here, if you look at the model, right, so you need that part to be placed on top of the roof right here. And then I'm going to issue the union command. So they will be united together. Okay. So once I have done that, then I use the bpoly command, and then I was able to make a close polyline that I extruded. Now, I could have extruded this as one roof, one piece, but then I wanted to cut this into parts so that I can remove the roof and see the interior. So that was my plan. So because of that, I divided the roof, one going up to here, the other one going here, and then the third one here. Okay. So that was my plan. So I copied this 3 times and then extruded it to the height based on my requirements. Okay. Now, after that, what I did was I used the polysolid command. That's my first polysolid right there. Now, the idea is there's a hole right here. That's the door. So the idea is I'm going to rotate this way and print it upward. So it will not use support. Okay? That's the reason why I cut this part as my first piece for 3D printing. Okay? Next, I created this. I do know there's a window here. So I'm going to rotate this way. Okay? So that the window hole will not need support. Okay? So that's the reason why I cut this part right here. Now, initially, notice that this part is together, right? Or done together. But then I realized later on that I need a triangle right here. Remember that triangle at the top of this wall right there? Now, if I rotate this, then that triangle will be overhanging and it will be needing support. Okay? So eventually, when I realize that, I will change the cut to something else. So I needed to change my cutting position. But anyway, once I've done that, and then I have my third, okay, then I can add this union these two, right? So I can cut that together. This one I was thinking of initially printing this separately. Okay, again using polysolid. Now, how did I do the polysolid command? Let me remove this. Okay, how did I do the polysolid command? So polysolid, right there. Height. The height is 8 feet. Okay, so you can see there 8 feet. Enter. Width. The width is 6 inches. That's the thickness of the wall. Okay, so 6 inches. Justification. I use left. Okay, so I use left, and then I started here. Notice that left is right on Otherwise, I would go the other way. Okay, but left, I think, is right on where I want my wall to be. So click the endpoints, endpoint, and then endpoint. Enter. So that's my first piece right there. Okay. Enter. Yeah. I hit enter. That stops the command. Okay. Now, next, again, polysolid. Sorry, polysolid. So I start here. I go there to the endpoint. Now, I was wrong going here. Sorry, I should start here. Okay, start there. So polysolid from here to there. Now, again, 8 feet, 5 feet 6 inches. I created the line. So my polysolid left justification is still correct right there. And then I went there. I actually went here initially, but I realized that was a mistake. So I should end there, right? It's a mistake because I need a triangle above here. So I should print this right side up. Okay, that's the reason why I cut this, and that's the reason why I would stop right there and then glue it here. Okay, so that's the second one, and then next I would do this part right here. So again, polysolid from here. Now it's going the other way. So either I create a line, sorry, a line, offset this by 6 inches, offset this by 6, so I can start my polysolid right here. Okay, I'm not going to start it here because I've already realized that I will cut it here, join this or union these two, and then this one here will be a separate piece, join it with this one here. So I have to put it right at the end, so it will be right here. So polysolid from here to okay. See, sometimes it will not choose that endpoint. So maybe I can go here and then try to align it there. Okay. So using that option. Okay. So sometimes it doesn't want that, and then enter. Okay. Now from here, I need to start there. So I'm going to say polysolid again, starting here, and it does go to the right justification, and I'm going to end right there. Okay. And then from here, I need this one starting, I think here. No, it's going the other way. So I'm going to start here, go this way, and then end there. Okay. Okay. Well, justification. Where does the wall go? To the left or to the right of your, right? So you need to be cognizant of that. Now, but this one is only 3 feet. I forgot. So let me delete that. I do have an endpoint right there. Okay. So I'm going to say uh, polysolid. Okay. I use that endpoint and then go here. Okay. And then for this one, okay, 7 feet. So there's my 7 feet right there. It should be in the going inward. So do I start here or there? So let me check. Polysolid, if I start here, it's going to the outside part. So I should start at the other side. So polysolid right here. But then, see, it doesn't get my intersection. So sometimes solid and line doesn't really create an intersection. So I'll go to uh, wireframe visual style. I might need to create a line right there, somewhere there. Okay. And then I can do now my polysolid. Polysolid starting there and then going here. Okay. So again, you have to be cognizant where your wall is going, to the left or to the right, based on your floor plan drawing. Okay. So once I've done that, okay, I can go back to my shaded view. Okay. Uh, I deleted this part, right? So let me just delete all of this. I just showed you how I created my poly solid, and that's what I have right now. Any question regarding poly solids? Justification, creating guidelines so that there will be the object snap. Okay. Don't expect that solid object will give you object snap all the time. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Now, once I've done that, now I'm ready to create my guidelines for my door and my window. Notice that's how I did this. I only need the corners so that after I do that, once I get my endpoints, then I can create my rectangle. Once I've created my rectangle, I extruded that rectangle, extrude, make a copy here. Once I've done that, then I can subtract. Any question regarding that process? Copy from endpoint to endpoint, right? And then subtract. Okay? Once I've subtracted, now I have this. Okay? Now, the next thing that I want to do is to put this here. Okay? So I just extruded that. Okay? So B-poly. So I created a B-poly using the P-poly command I've shown you earlier. Extruded that by 6 inches and then rotated it. Once I've rotated that, I move that to its location and then made a copy. Okay? Are we good so far? B-poly, yeah? Okay. So here, I just type B-poly, pick points, select an internal point. It creates that boundary polyline. Okay? Once I have that boundary polyline, I can extrude from there or I can move that. Sorry, move last. Last is the last object that you have created. Okay? And then you have this B-poly. And then I can extrude that by 6 inches. And then I can rotate. Keep it aligned up. Okay? And then I can, I normally like the move command rather than the gizmo, the move gizmo, because here I'm not able to anchor this to the endpoint. So instead of that, I use the move tool. And then I can say from this endpoint to, let's say here, do I have an endpoint here? I don't have one there. I can hover over this and then move it close and then hopefully it aligns. Okay. Otherwise, you might need to create a line so you get an endpoint right here. Okay. Other point. Oh yeah, so I can do this and then move it again and then hold it from that point and run this genius right there. Okay? And then to go to the other side, I can say move from this point. Sorry, which one would do I have an endpoint for? Yeah, this point right here. Okay? And then there. Okay? Or copy. I should not have moved. Copy. But anyway, I have it here. Okay? Next, union. No question about the union command, right? You just union so that you don't have a separate line right here. Union, okay? So that's the reason why I separated this from this one here, because if I again rotate this, then I'll need support right here. So I try to avoid supports. Once I've done that, then I do the roof now. Again, B poly. So I did a B poly for this. I created this one here, and then extrude that. Okay. So, and then extrude it by the heights. What are the heights? Again, from here to there, one roof. From here to this wall, another, and then from here to there. Okay. Now, did I go to the middle? I could have, so that the roof will go on top of this, but because it's already resting on the wall, I really didn't need that support. But I could have also done that. Okay. So once I've done that, then I can now move those pieces, one, okay, and then I have two right there. So this one is on top, and then the third one to close that. Okay. Now, once I've completed my model, okay, I could have created a floor, but I did not, so that's okay. But once I've done that, then remember the 3D printer is only able to do a 5 by 5 by 5. So I created a 5 by 5 by 5 cube or box, okay? 5 by 5 by 5 box, which is right here, okay? Now, I can only if I move this here, it actually will fit. So what I did was I scaled this entire thing. So let me copy this right here. So what did I do? I scaled this, scale all of this. That's my initial idea. Scale this to 4.5 inches. Okay? Scale this to 4.5 inches, which is what I have here. Okay? Scale this to 4.5 inches. Distance from here to there, 4 feet, 4 and 5/8. 4.5 should be about 4.5. Okay? Anyway, so how did I do that? So initially, I have my full scale model. Never scale your full scale model. Make a copy first, right? You want to maintain your full scale model. And then you can scale this. Scale. I want it to be less than 5 inches because my printer can only do 5 inches, right? So, less than 5 inches, again, scale. Scale all of this. Okay. Base point right here. R for reference. What's the reference? The reference will be from this here, the top of my roof pitch, okay, to there, okay. And then what's my new length? My new length will be 4.5 inches. Why not 5? Well, I don't want to go to the extent, right? I want it smaller. So 4.5. There you go. That's how big your model will be. Now, 5 inches is actually quite big, right? It's not a small model, right? 5 inches. Okay. So if I move this here, move from here to my box, okay, I could already print it this way and let the printer do its thing, add supports and all that. But that's not what I want to do. So what I did was I rotated each and every one of this like so. Uh, sorry. Let's do it this way. Okay. So I created that 5-inch height. So I know it won't go above that. 5-inch floor. So that I know I'm only printing within the area. Place it here, planned it. Took me some time. Initially, this here was actually lying down. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can print it going up. It will not need support. So initially, this was lying down. Okay, lying down meaning to say it was going this way. But then I wasn't able to fit it in my floor. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can do it, I can print it going up. So that's how I was able to fit it within a 5x5. Now, in your case, you might have something bigger. So you think of, cutting it in areas. You might have 2 boxes, right? I highly encourage that you fit it in one box. But if not, then you might have several boxes and several prints. Okay, so that's how I printed this, and I actually printed it already. I'll get that print and show it to you. So let's have a short break. I'll get the 3D print and show you what I printed.